So my name is Tremblay. I'm the producer at the French studio, Interactive Studio in Montreal.
How would you define the interactive documentary?
How would I define the interactive documentary? Wow, you start hard. Well, it's a documentary where the experience tells something more than what you want to tell. So it's because of the interactive, you suddenly have a different experience of the subject. So it brings you further into the subject and not only tells you about it, but makes you in some way experience it.
What can be the interactive documentary production model?
Model for interactive documentary. Well, there are some that are slowly emerging, I would say. What's being done on some platforms, so you start to have models where basically someone without any technological knowledge of programming is actually able, if he masters the skills of making images and sound, to input programs and to tell stories with those interactions that are pre-designed in a way. This seems to be something more and more happening. You just think about like the new platforms like Snapchat Discovery or stuff like that. I think there's a way there where you don't have to rebuild every time the machine that drives your experience, and to me that's probably a step we'll have to follow to establish the genre.
What are your favorite interactive documentary?
I think one of my favorite was shown here is Notes on Blindness. It's one of my amongst the top 5 of the last year, that's for sure. What other everything Jonathan Harris does, if you're familiar with his work, is quite impressive because it's built into the technology. So it is not only about the technology, but it is the technology itself speaking to itself in some way. So yeah, those would be my top 2. Let's settle on the top 2. I could go along with.
Do you think interactive documentary can be applied for educational purpose, and could it be a profitable market?
Apply to educational purpose, yes, of course. Just remember the joy of discovering something. So anything or anyone, any creator that would be able to build that initial feeling of discovering something and getting into it more profoundly, there's definitely interactive documentary does that pretty well when it's well executed. So for education, to me, that's perfect. You really stage your learning curve through interaction. That's definitely something. So there is a market there. Depending on the countries, it's played out differently. But is it an economical model? Is that well? I was talking about Snapchat Discovery. There's definitively documentation happening on that platform, and there's definitely people making money out of it. I'm not sure if it's the creator, but that's another question. So yeah, but it's pretty tough for the moment. The business models are like so spread out, and none of them seems to really take place and repeats itself, which would then we would be able to call that's a true business model. So outside of government financing, that is a business model we tend to forget. But if you have the buyout of a certain number of your population within your country, and there is a meaning to fund those kinds of initiatives, well, that's what a business model is. It's like people are ready to give money to something to happen or to own or to experience, or that's a business model. Now, there are also the independent business models are a little more shaky, but within the indie gaming industry, more and more you find small studios that are actually like able to produce quite high quality experience or product that they are able to sell. But it's really very, very early stage. I haven't seen nothing that convincing yet.
What does an interactive documentary need to generate engagement?
I don't know. I'm still trying to find out. But through the numbers of interactive documentary, you have, well, the subject. I think what we find is if you're really listening to your community or the preoccupations of a number of people in the population, and not being an activist necessarily, just like when you tap in something that is out there into the population, people go over all the mumbo jumbo of the interactive. They just sink into the story if they find the story relates to them, or if they find an easy way to go into the experience. So I think that's the way to engage. It's to be really careful of what you ask of people. If you know you have a strong storyline or a strong experience to share through the media experience, to not overwhelm the person in front of a screen, be it a cell phone or a computer, with decision making to go further into the experience. That's a key learning we've done over the years. Don't overspread the decision making process.
What do you think about DocsBarcelona, and what activities are you attempting? Are you interested in?
So far, it's been only a couple of hours. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just came in today, so. But so far, it's really cool. It's my first time in Barcelona, so of course I'm just walking down the street and say, whoa, everything's new to me. So that's always fun in life. And the people, just like when I arrived, it's like I go to festival and like Mireille, we were chatting, of course, over the internet, and suddenly, hey, how are you? It's like, oh, that's cool. I like that. That's how you want to be welcomed. So and then afterwards, my understanding of it at this moment is really people are hungry for knowledge, and you feel that. So that's always fun.
As a part of the university community,
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in your opinion about the collaboration in terms of conceptualization and
Mm-hmm.
developing, and in terms of production as well. The collaboration, how you see the collaboration between institutions like yours and universities, for example.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out to best work with university. One initiative it's the first year, and we're halfway. We've partnered with the university in Montreal. I don't remember. We've recruited 9 people from different field of expertise, and we bring them in the studio space for 2 days a week during 2 months, and they actually have to output a project. And it's a really tight schedule, production schedule. So it's what we call a sprint approach, where you have an idea, let's drill the idea, let's dig a little deeper, and then let's just do it. And so the way we do is they pitch to us every Thursday, because so every Thursday they pitch to the team, producers, creative technologists, lead, and we just work it together, and they're not all by themselves, but there's one person from the studio that's really really close to them. And and it's fascinating in both ways for them and for us, because it's challenging us, because they look at what we've produced and they're critical. This is what you do when you're a university student, and this is what you need to do. And then they haven't produced anything yet that's been published to the public and was submitted to the harness of being in relation to a public for a project or a creative work. So yeah, that's kind of the more concrete example. The other thing we do is always, for almost all projects, partner with the experts, so professors, researchers in different fields we want to cover. So we bring them usually pretty early into the process of creation to just like drain the knowledge into the creative team. And then we usually, they do follow the project over its evolution in creation. So that's one way. And the other way is with more like research, techno research centers. So there's a number of schools in Canada, of course. And usually it's during the R&D process of creation, where you go and get like the really specialized people and just test the idea and test the project. So those are three ways we're like working with at the moment, but we're always finding, because there's a strong relation between the mindset of what we do and the mindset of what you do when you're in university. There's so much connection, so we're just looking for those connections to happen.
Just made me happy.
Yeah. it's not easy to do, but that's what you look for.
So merci beaucoup.
Plaisir.
Thank you.